Hello, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. This is a record fast posting for me because I'm actually on top of things. So, as you can see, I'll be talking about Peter and the Starcatchers by Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson today. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Why did I pick up this book? I actually listened to this audiobook back in middle school, I think it was. My family and I would put it on during our car rides, and we all enjoyed the story together. I couldn't remember much about it now since it's been years, so I decided, but I remember liking it, so I decided to revisit it again. An added bonus, I didn't know this when I read it, but an added bonus that now is that my school is putting on the stage adaptation of the story in the fall, and I just happened to have reread it. Hopefully, this helps me with auditions. I'd be fine if I get to play a Lost Boy or a pirate. Honestly, I'm not looking for a main role since I'm still pretty new at theater, but so wish me luck, and I'll let you know in the comments if I land any part in that show. Alright, like last time, I will be doing a spoiler free portion and then a summary review. Here's the synopsis I took off of Goodreads again. It might be on the back of the book, but again, I don't own a physical copy, unfortunately. So it is. This story is in an evocative and fast paced adventure in the high seas and on a faraway island, an orphan boy named Peter and his mysterious new friend Molly overcome bands of pirates and thieves in their quest to keep a fantastical secret safe and save the world from evil. Best-selling authors Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson have turned back the clock to reveal the wonderful story that precedes J.M. Barrie's beloved Peter Pan. Peter and the Starcatchers is brimming with richly developed characters from the scary but somewhat familiar Blackstash to the ferocious Mystic Grin to the sweet and sophisticated Molly and fearless Peter. Page after page of riveting adventures take readers of all ages on a voyage from a filthy, crime-ridden port in Old England across the turbulent sea. Aboard the Neverland is a trunk that holds the greatest treasure on earth, but is it gold, jewels, or something far more mysterious and dangerous? Rolling waves and raging storms, skullduggery and pirate treachery provide the backdrop for battles at sea. Bone-crushing breakers eventually land their characters on Mollusk Island. Is that a spoiler? That's in the synopsis, though. Anyway, not really. You don't know what you don't. There's no context to this, so whatever. Where the action really heats up. This impossible to put down tale leads readers on an unforgettable journey, fraught with danger yet filled with mystical and magical moments. Alright, this book starts and never stops. You're immediately thrown right into the action, and the chapters are pretty short, which makes it easy to keep going and going and going. This is much more of a plot driven book rather than a character driven one. However, that's not to say that the characters are bad. The characters are quite lovely and endearing, honestly. The whole book in general was quite funny and it had me laughing out loud at many points. Stash and Smee in particular crack me up with their banter and exchanges. Molly also attempts to speak to porpoises, but she's not very good at it, which leads to some funny gags, like her greeting them by saying, "Molly teeth green," and the porpoise is just too polite to correct her. That whole element of talking to porpoises is really funny. Also, this isn't really a spoiler for what happens, but I found that the things the star stuff does to be quite funny. According to this book, star stuff is the cause of everything from the Greek gods to the Loch Ness monster to frickin' Genghis Khan. It's ridiculous, but also ridiculously funny to me. And okay, this might be a personal thing, but I've always found the Peter Pan story a little sad. When I read the original Peter Pan story by J.M. Barrie, I immediately felt a sort of motherly instinct pull, whatever you want to call it, for Peter. Like, sometimes he annoyed me with his boyish antics, but most of the time I just felt bad for him. I mean, living as a child and never aging for eternity doesn't really sound like a good time. Debate with me in the comments if you'd like, but I never saw the appeal of living forever. At the same time, I do quite enjoy Peter Pan spin offs and retellings for whatever reason. The movie, okay, confession. The movie Pan is one of my guilty pleasure favorites, and I rewatch it all the time. I'm probably gonna rewatch it again soon, since I haven't seen it in like a couple years. I know it's not technically great, but I don't really care. There's also this other Peter Pan spin-off like book called Everland that I vaguely remember liking back in middle school, so I might revisit that too to see if it still holds up. Anyway, this book is a nice, easy, enjoyable read, and I would definitely recommend it. So I'd give it a 4.5 stars and a 9 out of 10. This book is actually the first in the series, and back in middle school, I did read the next two, but I don't remember much about them other than it got pretty dark at times. I may or may not also revisit those books, but I think this one wraps up nicely enough that it can be enjoyed on its own. Well, that's it for the non spoiler section. Let's get into the summary and more specific review. I realize as I'm making these that the fact that I don't own a physical copy of these books makes it kind of hard to summarize, especially since I read it months ago or listened to it months ago, and I don't remember all the details super well because my memory retention is horrible. So the summary may not be the best thing ever, but I tried my best. Anyway, so this takes place in 19th century London, or it starts in London. Peter, as you know, is an orphan. He and some of his friends, named James, Thomas, Prentice, and Tubby Ted, are sent aboard the ship the Neverland, wink wink, headed to Randoon, where they were meant to be servants to the cruel king Zarboff III. Excuse the accent, I can't say it any other way. Anyway, on the Neverland, there's Slank, the first mate, Molly Astor, a girl about Peter's age, Miss Bumbrick, who is Molly's governess, and then Alf, a sweet old sailor. Meanwhile, the fearsome Captain Blackstash is hunting another ship, the Wasp, where Molly's father, Leonard Astor, is on. Stash catches it, but both are surprised to find that the trunk on the Wasp is just a decoy filled with sand. Leonard jumps off the ship and escapes with the help of the porpoises. Oh, and Stash names the ship the Jolly Roger, wink wink. And there's a funny exchange where Smee suggests calling it the Jellyfish, and Stash shoots the idea down. Back on the Neverland ship, after much prodding, Molly reveals to Peter what's in the trunk. He had seen a rat fly and already knew something peculiar was going on, so she couldn't really keep it hidden from him for long. The trunk is filled with something called star stuff, and Molly and her father are part of the Society of Starcatchers that protect the trunk from bad people, otherwise known as the Others. Being a starcatcher, Molly also carries a locket with a bit of star stuff, only to be used in emergencies. Flashback to Izzy from Jake and the Neverland Pirates, if you know what I mean. To be honest, here I got a little sus, even on my reread, because I couldn't remember things super well. But because since Molly is only an apprentice level starcatcher or whatever, she doesn't exactly know all the details about who they're opposing or the full capacity of the star stuff and all that. So it just seems a little like she's not giving you all the information and it's suspicious. But rest assured, they are, in fact, the good guys. At least in this book. I don't know what happens in the later books. Again, I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure they're the good guys across the stories. Anyway, Molly and Peter plan to throw the star stuff overboard to prevent Stash from getting it, but stuff happens and there's a storm and Peter ends up falling overboard. However, due to his contact with the star stuff, he can now fly and so he flies back to the ship. Molly and the orphans and the Neverland crew get shipwrecked on an island, and the natives there are called the Mullocks, and they are led by a man named Fighting Prawn. The Mullocks try to feed the children to Mr. Grin, which, can you guess, is a giant crocodile. Wink wink. Now, I don't exactly remember how they get out, but they escape with star stuff and fly out of there. Meanwhile, the trunk of star stuff is recovered by Slank, the first mate aboard the Neverland, if you recall, and he's revealed to be one of the others, gasp, who oppose the Starcatchers and want the star stuff for themselves. Also, he's the one who originally switched the trunks between the two ships at the very beginning. Also, in the background, I don't remember where this happens, but the star stuff also turns some fish into mermaids. They're hostile until Peter saves their leader named Teacher. Teacher and Molly don't seem to like each other and don't intend on getting along, and there's a bit of a funny moment there. Leonard Astor, more Starcatchers, and the whole British Navy arrive at the island. They fight the pirates and the Mollusks. All parties squabble over this trunk of star stuff. Peter handles the star stuff with his bare hands to trick Slank with an empty trunk. Stash loses his hand and is fed to Mr. Grin. Wink, wink, you know the story. Anyway, the whole trunk fighting stuff gave me a little flashbacks to Pirates of the Caribbean, kind of because of the setting and all the characters and pirates and stuff. But that's a really fun section. Fighting Prawn gets mortally wounded, but Peter also saves him with the star stuff. He allows Peter and the other orphans to stay on the island. Peter's high tolerance for the star stuff is unusual, and it allows him to fly constantly without having to keep on getting more without a steady supply. And he also loses the ability to age. Leonard uses star stuff to turn a bird into a fairy, so Peter has his Tinkerbell, and then Leonard and Molly return to jolly old England. There's a funny gag where Fighting Prawn says that they don't shake hands but rather kiss on the lips as like a greeting or a goodbye, which freaks Leonard out. But it is but a mere jest. The book ends with Peter seeing a scrap of the Neverland ship and decides to nickname the island Neverland. Haha, wink wink. Anyway, there you go. A nice little Peter Pan prequel sort of story. It's fun. I would definitely recommend it. Um, yeah, I didn't do as detailed as of a summary this time, but between this video and the last, let me know if you prefer the more detailed summaries or just like a quick overview like this one. Anywho, that's all for me for now. Sorry, not sorry for the moments of the atrocious British accent. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!